Welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. I'm Peter Gross, co-host of the original Wild Kingdom with Marlon Perkins and Jim Fowler. For more than 50 years, Wild Kingdom explored wildlife and our natural world. Tonight's episode, and many others, focus on the timeless value of wildlife conservation. Wild Kingdom played a critical role in changing public attitudes about the importance of animals for the health of our planet and our own quality of life. We challenge viewers to learn about animals and get involved in conservation in their local communities. That call to action resulted in more visits to local zoos, nature preserves, and even observing animals in their natural habitats. And that connection with animals benefits all of us in the Wild Kingdom. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom is presented by Mutual of Omaha.
Hello, welcome to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Today we're going to visit the very heart of Africa, the home of the mightiest land animal of all, the African elephant. Everything about an elephant comes in unbelievably large sizes. Just take, for example, their teeth. This is a 6-pound grinding molar. There are 4 in an elephant's mouth, 2 above and 2 below. Even more spectacular than this tooth is the tusk.
I wouldn't want to have to carry one of these around for very long. You know, it's amazing how heavy these tusks are, but I've seen elephants use them to dig up tree roots as if they were some lightweight garden tool.
Here, Jim, I'll help you put it on the table.
I may need a little help. Okay. Oh, that's a heavy one.
Massive. The elephant is unique in so many ways that he almost seems to be a creature from another world. He is unbelievably powerful, and by his sheer size, he easily dominates his territory and all the animals in it. He can push over giant trees to reach their tasty leaves, or gather delicacies in his marvelous trunk that is really an educated nose. His intelligence is legend. He's even smart enough to dig a small hole in the sand near a muddy water supply to let the sand act as a filter to clean the water. Truly, he may be called one of the most fascinating animals of the Wild Kingdom. In spite of an elephant's enormous size and spectacular appearance, very little is known about its family life. One of the very best places in the world to study this is here in Central Africa, where Jim and I found perhaps the greatest concentration of elephants in the world, a place near the Zambezi River that we call Tusker Territory.
There's one thing that dominates the mighty elephant. It's the climate. For 6 months out of the year, the vast area of Central Africa, from the Zambezi River south, becomes parched and dry. Elephants are forced to travel hundreds of miles to find life-giving water. Victoria Falls is the gateway to Tusker Territory. Here, a raging torrent drops 400 feet into the gorge below. Above the falls, the water is calm and fresh. Warden Paul Reed of the Victoria Falls National Park showed me its natural splendor. To the thirsty animals, the river is like an oasis in the middle of a desert. Sometimes it gets a little crowded, and territorial claims have to be settled the hard way. There's 5 tons of muscle behind each pair of those tusks, and I was glad to be in the boat. It's always a bad policy to interfere with a family squabble, and we had no intention of doing so. Just a few hundred yards above the brink of the falls, the river winds through a maze of low-lying islands. Mist from the falls nurtures a growth of lush green vegetation. When the shoreline becomes overgrazed, elephants don't hesitate to cross the river for a day of browsing. This one doesn't seem to want to get his tail wet or lose it to a hungry crocodile. For the other animals, the trip would be long and dangerous, but the elephant is a powerful swimmer and can swim for many hours at a time. With a trunk that serves as a snorkel, he's well adapted for moving through deep water. Consequently, he has no trouble reaching the islands that have become truly a pachyderm paradise.
You can be sure that not all of the elephants go to the mighty Zambezi for their drinking water. The real heart of Tusker Territory is a series of water holes at Wanke National Park in Rhodesia. Here, elephants by the hundreds come to drink at approximately the same time each day. The majestic sable antelope and other animals just have to take their chances when the elephants move in. It's the young bull that causes the problem, always trying to show off his size. The herds are family groups of 20 to 40 animals, usually led by one of the older cows. The first order of business is to take a long drink of about 40 or 50 gallons of water. He first sucks the water into his trunk, then squirts it down his throat. There's always time to settle a family argument, even if it's combined with a refreshing bath, which is next on the agenda at the water hole. After a long, hot day, this youngster doesn't have to be coaxed to get his ears wet. In fact, he just can't get enough of it. Although many of the elephants plunge right in, others would rather wait and get wet a little at a time. The water is anything but clean, but boy, is it refreshing. A little mud in the eye is no problem. For the first few years of their lives, young elephants drink only from their mothers. It's almost the only time his trunk gets in his way. A swim refreshes, but as far as the elephant is concerned, a session in the mud hole is needed to really soothe their sensitive hides and give some lasting protection against flies, biting insects, and 100-degree heat. For the young ones, it's the best part of the day. It's fortunate that elephants like to take mud baths, for in doing so they carry away tons of mud on their bodies. Over a period of time, this enlarges the water hole, and a more permanent supply of water is created for themselves and for the benefit of all the animals. A body that weighs 5 tons and stands 11 feet tall is bound to itch from time to time. After the mud bath, the elephants take care of all these minor irritations. There are many favorite scratching posts. Not just any old log will do. It all depends on where the itch is. If a log or a stump isn't handy, then a hard sandbank is next best. The routine at the waterhole is standard from day to day. After drinking, swimming, applying mud, and scratching, members of the herd move to higher ground to cover their bodies with a powdering of fine dust. With a flick of his trunk, the elephant expertly applies each load with uncanny accuracy. The fresh mud acts as a good base for the dry sand, forming a crust that only the most determined fly could possibly penetrate. Having completed their daily chores at the waterhole, the herd moves off to feed. Sometimes there needs to be a head count. Hey, wait for me! As they leave, a second herd arrives to take its turn at the waterhole. Scenting the air with their trunks to see if all is well, the herd bunches into a defensive circle until the danger of an unfriendly encounter with the new herd is past. Except for their daily session at the waterhole, the herd spends almost all day and all night eating. Jim followed this herd into the bush to study its habits firsthand.
I followed the trail of the elephants in a Land Rover with Senior Warden Greg Gregory of Wanke National Park. As we drove into the bush, there was no doubt that the elephants were somewhere ahead. They'd open up the bush as if a bulldozer had been through. Oddly enough, their footprints are hard to spot. The wide surface of an elephant's foot distributes his enormous weight over a large area, so that even in soft sand, the imprint is shallow. Warden Gregory pointed out that my foot would leave a deeper imprint than the foot of an elephant. Nearby, they had pushed over a large tree. What power these animals must have. There's not much left. They had stripped the bark from the limbs and eaten most of the leaves. The snapping and popping of branches told us the herd was near. They were grazing on great clumps of thorn bush, eating the leaves and the bark from the limbs. The nimble finger-like flaps on the tip of the elephant's amazing trunk feed limbs into the powerful jaws and then neatly strip off the bark. The tusk is useful as well. It's used as an aid in breaking off tough branches. Each limb is methodically searched for the juiciest and most savory twig. The trunk serves as a feeler, an arm, a lever, and a hand. A truly versatile tool. As the elephants move through the forest, the brush is stripped and the number of trees in the area is reduced. Sunlight reaches the ground, stimulating new plant growth, which provides food for the other animals in the area. In this way, the elephant benefits all the animals around him and is an important factor in their survival. Elephants spend at least 16 hours a day eating. During this time, they consume up to 1,000 pounds of forage. Since this takes about 24 hours to go through their giant digestive system, they eat and digest all at the same time. I'd been told that the noises in an elephant's stomach are so loud that they can be heard from quite a distance. So we decided to try to record these sounds. Since elephants rely much more on their sense of smell than on their eyesight, we have to judge the wind direction correctly. I had no desire to record the sounds of a charging elephant. At first, he acted as if he were going to stop. But when he put his ears out, we knew he had gotten wind of us. Finally, we found an elephant we could slip up on. Sometimes it isn't easy to determine which are stomach rumblings and which are eating sounds.
That's pretty dangerous business, Jim, getting this sound.
I'm not at all sure the experiment was worth it.
Despite his size, you can't always see that an elephant is near. But there are danger signals, like the rumbling of his stomach. When you hear him rumble, watch out.
After our success in recording elephants feeding in the bush, it seemed a good idea to use the tape recorder to study their sounds and the sounds of other animals at a waterhole. To get close enough, we had to build a blind at the base of a tree on the downwind side of the waterhole. The wind direction is important so that my position is not given away. Warden John Stead camouflaged the blind and drove off to stand by in case of trouble. Although this could be dangerous, Wanky officials gave me special permission to record at close range. Warthogs are my first customers. By recording at close range, the mic can pick up individual sounds. As a herd of buffalo comes down to drink, they seem nervous, and I wonder if lions may be around. The warthogs are apparently settling a dispute. They pay no attention to the buffalo. Suddenly, the sound of elephants. They're coming straight for the blind. This is too close for comfort. My slightest movement may trigger an attack. Their thirst finally overcomes their appetite and they move off. When they're busy with their mud bath and all well away from the blind, I decided that I had all the recordings I needed. It's fortunate I left when I did.
As the dry season progresses, water becomes more scarce and the days become hotter. The big herds come to drink and bathe more often now, and for the young ones, it can be a long trek. No one has priority at the waterhole, but somehow this little one successfully maneuvers through a forest of giant legs, never leaving the safety of his mother's side. The baby elephant relies almost entirely on his mother for the first 6 months of his life. The mother keeps a close watch on her offspring, guiding him in the way he should go and helping him out of slippery situations. As the days become hotter, the visits to the waterhole are shorter. The herd seems anxious to retreat to the shade of the forest. With less water, there is more conflict between the different animals. In order to survive, the baboon must be nimble and alert. He brings his family to the waterhole every day. To guard against predators, sentries are posted at all times. The waterhole is also the home of the plover, and this creates a problem for him, especially when he has eggs to protect. The tawny eagle represents a real threat, but the plover has his own special way of solving that. He declares aerial warfare on anyone who dares to come near his nest. It's difficult to catch a dive-bombing plover, and even harder to find a safe place to hide. At the end of the dry season, hunting becomes easier for the predators. By hanging around a waterhole, lions have no trouble picking off the weaker animals. But with all his strength and superiority, the mightiest predator of all is no match for an angry elephant. The lions give the tuskers a wide berth, for here the elephant is king. The rains have started now and the dry season is over. The herds disperse far and wide, able to roam free, not bound to any particular waterhole. The foliage is green and food is plentiful for these giants of the bush. And now all the land around is Tusker Territory. In the life of the elephant, there seems to be a plan for the survival of the family. By concentrating at the waterhole in the dry season, moving out after the rains, and adapting to new foods, the elephant seems to have a plan to fit any need. There was a time on this earth when elephants, or their ancestors, were only one of many kinds of living giants. Today, only the whale in the water, and on land the elephant, may truly be called living giants. Intelligent and adaptable, he adjusts remarkably well to changes in climate and terrain, and this despite his great size, which is at once his burden and his protection. His burden because he must spend virtually all his time, some 16 hours a day, eating the food needed to operate his huge body machine. His protection because he's simply too big to be successfully attacked by any other creature except man. Long hunted for sport and for ivory, the elephant is today protected in Tusker Territory to ensure that the earth will always tremble beneath the ponderous weight of the grand giant of the wild kingdom.
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Like what you saw? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more exclusive content. And visit our website at wildkingdom.com.